One of the questions I get asked the most often, what's the best way to learn acting or to even learn new skills to become an actor? And what I'd like to answer that with is I think it's important to understand what acting actually is before we can then learn how to develop new skills for that. And what I find is that most people are they have a misconception over what it takes really to be an actor. And so as we learn how to act, we have to understand that acting is really about being in the present moment. It's about being in the here and now. And that's really what it's all about. But there's a misconception that acting is really about pretending to be a character, where in reality, acting is not pretending to be a character, but it actually is about being as truthful as you possibly can in a moment. And in fact, acting demands a greater truth than in real life. Now, of course, how can acting demand a greater truth? How can anything be more true than real life? In our actual life, we spend a lot of time avoiding certain feelings. We spend a lot of time avoiding emotion or pulling back from conflict. We don't like to lean into the drama. And so we spend a lot of time hiding from who we are and how we actually feel. But in our acting, we have to lean into it. We have to lean into the drama. We have to lean into the conflict. We have to lean into the emotions and the vulnerability that we so often hide in our actual lives. So when we learn how to act, part of what we must learn is the skill to be completely openly vulnerable in front of others. We have to learn how to shed down this, what we call, it's the shield of vulnerability or self-consciousness. It's almost like we wear these social masks in life, and we use them to protect ourselves. You know, day to day, if we go to the store, we have a mask on. If we go to work, we have a mask on. And it's our masks, our social masks, that allow us to hide from the outside world our true selves. Well, now when we learn how to act, we have to really learn how to take off these masks, to get down into a deeper vulnerability, to what we call our core of the human being, because it's from our core self that we can really then bring out this thing essence called character. Character is really something that it's a point of view. You know, when we step into a character, it's not that we pretend to be a character. There's a lot of imagination involved in acting, of course, but we're not just simply pretending to be a character like we would play when we were kids. We have to really authentically step into their lives. We have to understand at a deep level who these people are, and then we have to fight for their point of view. So to do that, we have to understand their point of view. So character is really just a different point of view, a different from who we authentically are. So we have to understand that, have the ability to step into it, and then fight for that point of view as hard as we can. So that's one of the first things we have to learn when we learn acting, is to learn that it's not pretending to be a character, but it's actually authentically operating from our deepest parts of ourselves. Another misconception when we learn how to be an actor is that acting is something that we are inherently born with. A lot of people believe that, oh, look at these great actors. They're doing what they can do, whether on film or on stage, or they're doing these things because they just have this innate talent that they were born with. To me, acting is not something you're born with. Acting is something that is a skill. It's learnable. Now, being that it's a skill, I'm not talking about it that it's technical. There are technical layers to acting, of course. But really, it's a skill in the sense that there's a lot of hard work in learning how to do it. there's a lot of hard work in getting down into that core, getting down into our core selves. And it's not something that we're born with. I believe that we're born with the desire, and we're born with the drive. Those are things that we are born with, that we have deep inside of us. If you have a drive to do something, you'll work harder at that thing than anything else. If you have a drive to play a sport, well, you'll work on improving yourself in that sport. If you have a drive to play an instrument, you'll work on improving as you learn how to play that instrument. So if you have a drive to learn acting and to be an actor, you'll keep improving yourself, and you won't decide to quit too soon when things become difficult. It's challenging. The next misconception of acting is that because we believe that you're naturally born with this, whatever this magical thing is to be an actor, you're naturally born with it. Because we believe that, we also believe that it doesn't require a lot of hard work. Because we see these wonderful, great actors do what they do. Right? You see a great actor like Viola Davis or Meryl Streep or Denzel Washington. We see these and we watch them do what they do at such a high level. And we think that, oh, they're born with it. So it's just, if for me to do it, I don't know if I can do acting because I don't have what it takes. But what we don't see is the amazing amount of skill that these actors have developed over time. We don't see the hard work that they put into it. We don't really understand all of the training that they have done to get to this point right here and right now. We only see the end result. And of course, these great actors make it look easy. So we watch the end result and we say, oh man, they're just born with it. But the truth of acting is it requires a tremendous amount of hard work. It takes, and this is not just in the initial training to become an actor, but this is also in the process of acting. Anytime we take on a role as an actor, we have to put a great amount of hard work into that role. There's a wonderful quote that I like to say a lot, and it's that art is never finished, it's only abandoned. And what that tells us is that when we work on any artistic project, it could be a painting or a sculpture, it could be a dance or a song or a character. When we work on something in the artistic realm, we could always be finding new things. We could always be adapting it. We could always be adding depth. We could always be discovering something new. So at some point, we have to say, well, this is how much time we have to work on it. And that's it. So if I get cast to do a film, and I'm in this film and we're shooting in a month, well, I could decide I can work on it every single day between now and that month, and that's what I'm going to have to work with when it's time to go on set. Or, what some actors do, we could procrastinate a little bit and say, okay, well, I have a month, so I'll start working on it in 2 weeks from now. Well, whatever I now develop in 2 weeks is what I'm going to have when it comes time to go on set. Or if for some reason I have a great procrastination and I wait until the week that we're shooting to start working on it, well, that's all the time I'm going to have. But there's always more that we can work on. So the hard work we put into our acting is really about developing a strong work ethic, about developing that desire to keep moving forward and to keep learning more and more about the character. That's what we really want to do, to learn more about how to step into the life just a little bit deeper, about the feelings that this person is going to, more specifically about their point of view. We can keep developing that over and over and over throughout that time. So acting demands an incredible amount of hard work. And then finally, the last misconception I would say is because we believe that acting is inherent and therefore we believe that it doesn't require a lot of work, we also believe it doesn't require a lot of training. And so that's where this misconception comes in, because I have a lot of people ask me, if I'm going to learn acting, should I find maybe just like a small class? Can I take a workshop, and is that enough? Or can I do a once a week scene study class, and is that enough? And it's like, no, it's not. Acting requires an incredible amount of training. And the truth is, the training never ends. The learning as an actor never ends. We're constantly evolving and constantly discovering new things and new ways and new methodologies, because we're constantly evolving as human beings. And as we evolve as a human being, so does our art. So we must be consistently training over and over and over. And we're not training simply on technical skills. Yes, there are technical skills for actors. There's the technique of being in front of a camera and understanding what to do with the camera. Or there's a technique of being on a stage in front of a live audience, and where do we look and how do we stand and how do we move. There's a lot of those technique type of skills. But the learning is more in the area of ourselves, learning how we operate. We have to learn how our own human condition and our own human psychology lends itself to the acting that we're going to do. And so we have to consistently train and consistently put in the hard work. And then we can learn what it takes to become an actor just through the doing of it. And so this is something that I like to establish right off. When someone asks me, what's the best way to learn to act? That's the first thing I like to say is, well, let's just talk about acting.
If you like this video and want to see more, make sure to like and subscribe, and let us know in the comments what other topics you would like us to talk about. Check out truthfulactingonline.com for our online acting training courses. See you next time at Truthful Acting.